Hello everybody and welcome to another Cubs by YouTube. I hope you're all well. I'm doing good here. Can't believe it's May already. The leaves are out on the trees, the blossoms looking beautiful, lots of birds on, lots of wildlife around, so things are kind of feeling good out there. And I hope you're still doing okay in the current lockdown. I know my kids are saying that they're missing school, but you know, I'm sure you're all working very hard at home and we're going to get through this together. And hopefully keeping busy with some Cubs things is helping with that. I know some of you have been busy doing some badge work again. I've had some emails from your parents saying some of you have done some work, not uploaded it yet. That's fine, I've said before, we'll catch up at some point. But this week, I know Zane, you've done your artist, your entertainment, your collector and your cyclist badge. Very good, very busy as always. Ethan E, a fine selection of books that you've been reading, so book reader badge, well done. Elsewhere, here's Thomas B. He's done his chef's badge, sausage, mash and veg, followed by some marvellous vanilla cupcakes. And Oscar M, you've been doing some of your skills challenge badge. So here you are making a cup of tea. Looks great. Mine's coffee, black, no sugar. Please, next time we see each other. And as well as that, last weekend we also had the Faiths for Fun activity, which I know a whole bunch of you signed up for, a Zoom call on Sunday afternoon and some craft activities based around faith. So Zane, Saba, Jeevan, Ethan E, Ayan and Owen all took part in Faiths for Fun. So I hope you enjoyed it. The feedback I've had is that it was good. Now you've got a couple of weeks to get those things done, get them sent back in, and there's certificates and part of your badges you get for doing those. So very well done indeed. Special about this coming Friday, the 8th of May. That's right, well done. It's VE 75, the 75th anniversary of VE Day. VE being Victory in Europe, and it's when, towards the end of the Second World War, the Germans surrendered and there was peace across Europe. The Second World War itself finished in August after VJ Day, when the fighting finished in the Far East. And I've sent to your parents some information about some VE Day activities, and if you're able to, it would be great if you took part in some of those. Maybe make some bunting, have a street party, eat some of the food that would be around in 1945, and watch some of the things that'll be on TV. There's a national silence at 11 o'clock for 2 minutes. In the afternoon, they're broadcasting Churchill's speech from the time, and then there's some TV programmes in the evening. So take part and play your part in this important commemoration. And I thought it'd be nice tonight to invite someone else onto this video with me, somebody who can remember the end of the Second World War, someone very special to me. It's my dad. So with no further ado, I asked him to introduce himself.
Right, well, I'm Ivan Ellis. I was born in 1936, Halloween Day, October the 31st, and I would be 9, wouldn't I, on VE Day.
And do you remember much about VE Day back in 1945?
The actual VE Day, probably not a great deal. It was great news. Old Hitler was dead, he'd gone, we'd won. That was great. But what I do remember was a street party we had at my nan's, actually, in Hensford, although I was living in Dudley at the time. And the whole road put a huge table, well, series of tables all down the road, and all the children sat on these chairs, nice tablecloths. Food came out, jelly, sandwiches with very little butter on, of course rationing was still there. Can't remember, probably fish paste was inside the sandwiches, I can't remember much else. Homemade cakes, and people were dressed up in their best and their finest. And some of us wore paper hats that we'd made ourselves out of newspapers or whatever. And there was a photograph of me, and it appeared in one book, but the latest book I've seen, they've missed me off.
Oh, that's a shame. So after VE Day, after the war in Europe had finished, how did life change in the months afterwards?
There wasn't an immediate change. Rationing was still on, and lights, in fact, were not going to be switched on straight away. So we were, during the war, if you went out at night, there were no street lights on. If you had a torch, you had to have a shield over it so that the light shone onto the floor and not anywhere else. And if you were out too long and somebody saw it, it was that famous one, switch that light off, etc., etc. Rationing was still on. And as far as children were concerned, of course, sweets were most important. And sweets actually didn't come off the ration until about 1953. I was 16, I think, when they finished. But clothes, furniture, a lot of foodstuffs. I do remember queues. Yes, queues were enormous. And they were still going on for a while afterwards. I remember the butchers used to hand your ration book over, and you had what was called an indelible pencil, which was waterproof and you couldn't rub it out. And he always licked it like that, and then put a big cross over the date. And his tongue was purple, and I wanted a purple tongue.
Excellent. And of course, we should remember that the Second World War itself didn't finish until after VJ Day, later in the year in August. So VE Day is just the end of the war in Europe. But of course, that meant lots of people came back home, having been fighting on the front line. What do you remember of people that came back from the war?
Yes, well, my father came back earlier than that, actually. He was medically discharged from the army. But the one person that I do remember most of all, in a junior school, I was a junior at the time, they were all ladies. And with respect to the ladies, I think I've said once that old Miss Robson must have been about 104. She was probably about 60, but that's by the by. A man teacher came, a man, Mr. Willits, and he'd been in the RAF. Now, to me, at that time, RAF, he'd been in the Battle of Britain, he'd shot enemy planes down. Boy, brilliant! He wore glasses, and he probably was a pen pusher. But to me, he was absolutely marvellous. I adored the very ground he walked on. And possibly, I know this probably sounds a little silly, he probably guided me towards being a teacher in my later life, which I became. Now, I often think of Mr. Willits, even now.
Gosh, so someone coming back from the war probably inspired you to take on a career that you were then very successful at.
That's right.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, Ivan, Dad, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. And I'm sure our Cubs would have enjoyed watching this little insight into what you remember of VE Day.
Well, I hope so. And memories will come back now and again. But I was born in the last century, remember.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Cheers.
Brilliant. That's really good. That should edit down quite nicely, I think.
So a massive thank you to my dad for doing that. And I will point out that the only editing that was required was through the questions that I'd asked. Dad got all the answers bang on first time round. But as you can tell, sometimes some of those memories take a little bit of digging up and some of the details disappear. So what I'd like you to do is this weekend, when you've done your VE 75 activities, I'd like you just to write a few lines on a piece of paper about what you did. Maybe take some photos and print those out as well. And also write on there what you're doing in the current lockdown. As we work through the COVID-19 situation, write down what you're doing, how you're learning, what you're doing for fun, and jot down how you're feeling about the whole thing. Then I'd like you to take those bits of paper and I'd like you to put them in an envelope. Seal the envelope up and write on it, do not open until the 8th of May 2045. That's in 25 years' time, and that's when we'll get to the 100th anniversary of VE Day. So on that 100th anniversary, you can then reopen the envelope, put it somewhere safe. I suggest ask your parents to put it with things like birth certificates and things like that, those important documents that you always keep safe. And then in 25 years, we can open it up and all remind ourselves what life was like as we celebrate and commemorate VE 75. And I'll be in my late 70s by then, but if you can still track me down, let me know. I'll be fascinated to know what your memories are of this year. So that's everything for this week. I hope you have some fun at the weekend. I hope you take time to remember VE 75, take part in that 2-minute silence at 11 o'clock. If you possibly can, capture some memories and remember to reopen the envelope on the 8th of May 2045. Have a great week and I'll speak to you next week.